Hello anyone and everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we've come back over to Liverpool and we're going to have a little look around the Albert Dock. I was actually planning to get on the River Mersey ferries again, but it was actually out for maintenance today, so I've jumped on the train, came over to have a little look around. It's quite windy, so hopefully the audio is okay, but what we do is have a little walk around, look at a bit of the history, a bit of what's here now. I know there's a load of shops and different restaurants and stuff on site. So we have a little look around and yeah, let's get into it, please. Join me. So here we are walking in. Now there's actually a few different docks here. You'd be mistaken to think the whole place is at the Albert Dock, but the dock that's actually in front of us is not the Albert Dock. The Albert Dock is more of a square within multiple different docks. So the Albert Dock was actually, well, the whole idea and principle behind it was in 1841. So that's when the designers and engineers came together, put some plans, and then it wasn't until 1846 that the dock itself was actually constructed. And obviously it was designed because in the 1800s Liverpool became a massive port in terms of transatlantic trade and all things like that. And obviously a lot of different materials came in, like coffee, tobacco, silk. So this was kind of the link into the United Kingdom, per se. So the dock that we have here is actually the Albert Dock, and if you see, it's just a square of buildings. Well, the building in front is actually the Maritime Museum, but it's undergoing renovations at the minute, so that's temporarily closed. A massive feature of obviously when they were building the docks is they wanted this to be non-combustible, because obviously they were having a lot of teas and tobaccos brought over, cotton, alcohol. They were highly flammable, so this was like the first shipping yard that was just built in bricks, steel, that obviously wouldn't go on fire. I think that there used to be a restaurant boat that used to stop down at the way here. You get like a 3-course meal on there, then it'll take you for a sail around the docks. This is actually the most dead I've seen it with in terms of vessels in here. So when this was obviously a working dockyard, towards the end of its life it kind of went into decline, obviously in the 20th century. A lot of the container ships that you see now wouldn't actually fit in here. They were smaller vessels and they turned to obviously containers, and they needed more heavy duty cranes and things like that to kind of offload the ships. But this was noted as being the first kind of dockyard or port to kind of use hydraulic lifting systems. So again, a lot of people wanted to come to the Albert Dock to kind of get their materials off the vessels, things like that. And then the Albert Dock itself started going into decline towards the 1950s, 1970s, because no one was really using it. They stopped bringing trade here. Well, the Albert Dock actually shut down in 1972. So obviously there's no trade coming in, it weren't making much money, so there were obviously calls to close it down and ultimately demolish it. But then I think someone within the Liverpool Council actually thought, instead of demolishing it, do a restoration, and obviously put in some shops, museums and all things like that. So that's what we kind of look through today. See what's on offer, see what sort of shops there are. It's going to be your typical tourist stuff. Selling Albert Dock memorabilia, Liverpool memorabilia, but we'll have a little look around and see what there is. Just got a little deer there, support Everton. Obviously when you're in Liverpool the main highlights are the football teams and the Beatles. They are the main drivers when it comes to memorabilia and things like that. But as you can see, there's a lot of wrought iron, steel works and stuff like that, which the whole building was built from. Here we have another memorabilia shop. I always think a lot of these make money when they're slapped right next to each other. Pennywise mug. Are they call them sugar skulls or something like that? We've got these stormtroopers here. And a ray. The happy Buddha. Rub his belly and he'll bring you luck. Is this an amethyst? I've heard these sell like a lot of money. So what's that one? £540 for that one there, with the two cats in. The confectionery. All you need is fudge. A nod to the Beatles. I always wonder how long them sweets can actually stay there. We've got a mosaic made of 15,000 jelly beans and was created to celebrate Let It Be, the West End musical. Now this says, oh, to celebrate their career from 1962. I thought that's when this was designed. They have the Bean Boozled shelf there. I always view this street as like these sort of like the shops that are trying to sell stuff, and then when you go around this corner here, you've kind of got like the restaurants. This is a great shop. This is called House of Spells, and it's got like a lot of different memorabilia in there. Things Game of Thrones, obviously Doctor Who, Harry Potter. This is the front of the House of Spells. That's Thomas Shelby. And then the Addams Family spin-off, Wednesday. And then one of, if not the best film franchise, Harry Potter. Playing some wizard's chess. This is like the window of Odysseys. We've got Dobby there looking he looks quite tan, to be fair. Looks like he's been on holiday. And some of the beasts from Fantastic Beasts. But for the life of me, I can't even think what the names are. We've got some wands there. And the Death Eater masks. So as we enter the House of Spells, got all the Hogwarts memorabilia. And the Hogwarts Express, platform 9 3/4. As Harry Potter's running through London, trying to find the right platform. Little does he know, Ron Weasley's mother has to show him through. All the different books. At one point I thought them books were actually all fake, just like covers of the books, but I pulled a few down and they actually are real books. Before the different houses. Which house would you belong to? I think everyone always goes for Gryffindor. This is the Marauders map, which enables Harry Potter to walk around, knowing who's where and who's who. Although Peter Pettigrew walks past him, but he was nowhere to be seen. Got the Elder one there, and the Philosopher's Stone. Although I'm sure I've seen somewhere the Philosopher's Stone was actually called the Sorcerer's Stone at one point. I don't know where the change happened, but I'm definitely sure when I went to watch it, it was always the Philosopher's Stone. Oh, there we have the Iron Throne. The kings and queens of Westeros all fought for that throne, but here it lies in Liverpool Albert Dock. Some Stranger Things memorabilia. I've not actually, I couldn't get into Stranger Things, to be honest. I don't know if is this called the Demogorgon? This was the creature I can remember from the few episodes I did watch. We've got a box of sage here to scare away all the bad vibes, bad spirits. Here they've got an array of different tankards. So you can drink your ale or wine after you've just pillaged a village in celebration. Drink a hearty toast to Odin. This is the Peaky Blinders section. Find your fit, find your hat, and put your razor blades in the peak. We have the Hufflepuff section. I think out of all the different houses, this is the one I'd at least want to be Hufflepuff. It's got to be Gryffindor or Slytherin. Ravenclaw are a push. How much does a robe cost? £84 for a robe. Now as we carry on, again this stretch is more so different restaurants and things like that. It's got what's cooking. Panam. Sorry, mate. The Botanist. I think that's a cocktail bar. Yeah, so there is a lot of different choices. Obviously, we just walked Rudy's Pizza as well. So pizza Italian, Pan American. That'd be like noodles and all stuff like that. You've got Miller and Carter down the way. So there is a lot of selection. Normally, when you walk down here, it's very busy, but today it's not as busy. I don't know if it's because it's around 5 o'clock when I'm recording this, so I don't know if it's people are on the school run, getting home from work, things like that. So yeah, they got a Miller and Carter here, which seems to be very popular. Although I did go there the other day and I only had a burger. I've been there twice and never had a steak, so I need to go there with a steak in mind. But whenever I see the menu, I'm just thinking about burgers. But yeah, you can see why they probably thrown so many restaurants and things down here. It does draw a lot of tourists in and it brings a lot of revenue to the area. You wouldn't want to put too much clothing shops or anything like that in. Because there's only so much shopping people are going to do down here and you're already heavily memorabilia shopping wise. So here's one of the bridges. So now at one point, obviously this is Albert Dock on the left, and that's another dock on the right. I think it's called Salt House or Salt something dock. And to lift the drawbridge, they would have had to spin these openers. You would have had sticks either side and draw them through, which would have allowed different vessels through. And I don't know if you can see down here, it's like Roman numerals in terms of the tide height. Let me see if I get that. So I don't know if that's just for show, to preserve some history, or whether that would have just been how they would have used them. But in my mind, obviously, them numerals were used in the Roman times. So I don't know why in the 18th century they would have resorted to them. So we just walk back around here. Well, a few minutes ago we were in the corner over there in the House of Spells. And then this whole row is just the restaurants. But it's nice once you're in this little square. Keeps you out the wind a bit, although it is a little bit windy now. So the River Mersey is just over that way. So that whole wind is a wind tunnel. Although this part seems a little bit less populated than the other side. Normally when I come here I just do past them shops into the restaurants and then I'm gone. I've hardly ever came here. But at the beginning of the video I mentioned that this was like the first dock or port to use a hydraulic lifting system in terms of getting the materials off the boats or ships. This monument is what they would have looked at. Just try and get out of the way of the sun. So it's obviously a pulley system with cogs it down at the base to turn the crane and help lift it. But again, I think that's why this dock's so popular, because it was a pioneer in sort of engineering like that. I don't know if it's just the UK or whether it is globally. It's got a popular restaurant here, it's Gusto's, so it's probably the main draw from bringing people over here, although I've never been here myself. and I'm actually at a dead end. There's me thinking I could get through. I might do a bit of garden hopping over here and walk around the other side. Flew over that there. Times being a little ruffian when I was younger certainly helped out. But we're just coming up towards the end now. So the opposite stretch is kind of the Maritime Museum, but we'll have a little look over there. But it's all scaffolded up at the minute for refurbishment works, things like that. That's where we are. That's how the Maritime Museum looks. Again, I'm not too sure when that will open next. It just talks about the maritime history of the Liverpool. It also goes into a bit about the customs and what they find down there. There's a little exhibit of some of the weird and wonderful things they found in people's suitcases or on cruises, things like that. And it shows how they kind of detect them. But just outside the museum, there's actually a load of different food stalls, and they're all in quite quirky little vehicles. So obviously we have Albert's Ice Cream Emporium, which isn't open today, but it's in like an old steam. I don't know if this was a train or whether it was an old steam type car. But yeah, beats me. I mean, it's got wheels, so it's not on a track. But it would have been an absolute nightmare throwing coal on that just to go down the road. Some other little more modern vans. Citron waffles. Now, normally when there's a food stall, this next one's that would be my favourite. It's a Greek van. I do love a Greek gyros, if that's how you pronounce it. And here we have, it looks like a sort of an old tram. So yeah. Is it a Turkish tram? Must be an old Turkish tram. Taksim, Albert Dock. From Istanbul to Liverpool. So again, this is a different dock. It's not incorporated in the Albert Dock. But still a lovely view. Oh. Bit of Turkish going on there. Teşekkürler. And there we have the iconic bus. Afternoon tea on there. Street food. I think that, you're obviously allowed to sit at the top, and they do sort of a little afternoon tea as well as a few different menu items. The double-decker burger. So this is actually a London bus. Now, Liverpool's not actually famous for these red phone boxes, but I think they've just brought one up anyway for the London bus theming. Whatever brings the tourists in, I could imagine. Go across this bridge. So again, that looks like a heavy duty, I don't even know what you call that. What is it? Is it, you use them when you're on is it a barge? What do you call that? Just as we come back around to the beginning, we've got this 10 metre high rainbow rock statue, which was set up by the Tate Gallery, which is no longer here anymore. We're taking inspiration from the meditative art of rock balancing. Although if they're no longer here, they need to go and balance somewhere else. But yeah, and that's back to the beginning. So if you're putting a bit of a pace on, you could probably walk around quite quick, but you can take a leisurely stroll across as well. But yeah, that was basically the Albert Dock. Tried to throw a bit of history in there, a little walk around. Again, if you've never been there, at least you can have some sort of thought of what it looks like, and sort of different shops, restaurants that you can maybe go to. Again, if someone's coming over, if you're like me, when you're coming over to a new country, sometimes you'll look at the places you go, and so hopefully that shows sort of the food on offer, the different shops, some of the prices as well on the London bus. But yeah, that's basically it for today. It's been a bit of a windy one, so hopefully the audio is not too bad. But again, if you like the video, throw a little comment in there with a bit of history that you may know, like, subscribe and all that stuff. But yeah, that's another attraction in the archives.